What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest news stories and rumours you need to know, including an update on Rocky Johnson's passing, the Wednesday Night War ratings, a new signing with AEW, the Undertaker's possible in-ring return, Triple H meeting with a top free agent, and how to get banned from Twitch. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Let's get straight into the first story as we have an update on the passing of Rocky Johnson. We're now learning more about the events leading up to the passing of WWE Hall of Famer Rocky Johnson, who passed away at the age of 75 on 15th January. According to a report by ABC News, former professional wrestler Brian Blair, another 1980s WWE star, was friends with Johnson for decades and they still went to church together in the Tampa, Florida area. Blair told the Associated Press on Wednesday that Johnson had complained of an unspecified illness of late and had missed church that he attended with Blair and other former wrestlers. According to the report, he was just under the weather. He thought he had the flu or something, Blair said by phone. I said, "You need to get checked out, Rocky." He said he'd be okay. Then he missed this Sunday a few days ago. When I talked to him again, he said he still wasn't feeling good and he still missed church. He still didn't get it checked out. I talked to Sheila and she said he was just being stubborn. He died at home today. The wrestling community was shocked by Johnson's passing, with a multitude of wrestlers and fans expressing their grief. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with the Johnson family. Next up, the Wednesday Night War ratings report, and AEW destroys NXT, and apparently Vince thought that nobody would watch it. It seems like only yesterday that NXT and Dynamite began their Wednesday night head-to-head competition, but the Wednesday Night War just marked week 16. Regrettably for NXT, the black and gold brand came up short again. According to Paul Fontaine at Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online, Wednesday night ratings are in, and last night's Bash at the Beach themed episode of AEW Dynamite was essentially even with last week, averaging 940,000 total viewers and a 0.38 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. The latter number was good for 5th on the night on cable television and was up 6% from last week. NXT was down 3% in total viewers, averaging 700,000. The 18 to 49 rating was 0.21, which was up 11% from last week. The show finished 31st on cable in that category. AEW's Bash at the Beach special featured a loaded show, including the in-ring return of Diamond Dallas Page, a Fatal 4 tag-way match to determine the number 1 contenders for the AEW Tag Team Championship, Cody's answer to MJF's conditions for a match at Revolution, and Jon Moxley versus the Inner Circle's Sammy Guevara. Incredibly, the WWE seemed to gloss over the show when they booked NXT. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez suggested that Vince wasn't worried about the 15th January episode of Dynamite. They mentioned, "I do know that there was a feeling yesterday on the NXT side that last week's Dynamite was not a good show, so people were not going to watch this week." Now, even the most die-hard defenders of NXT have to admit the 15th January show was lackluster. The WWE seems to have gone into cruise control mode with NXT when it should be battling to regain the brief edge it had going into the Survivor Series. Pretty sure the WWE made a big mistake by putting a best-of show against Dynamite, and they're compounding their problems by underestimating them. Once again, Dynamite captured the important age demographic, and the biggest gap in the demos was in the men 18 to 49. AEW almost doubled NXT with a 0.51 rating to 0.26. That's one of the reasons TNT just renewed Dynamite for the next 3 years, and it's a demographic that has to concern the USA Network and hopefully the WWE. Things are either going to get interesting on NXT, or the WWE's Wednesday night programming is going to find itself slipping in the ratings as more fans tune out of NXT. While there's some evidence NXT viewers don't go to Dynamite, NXT is underperforming. The Royal Rumble and Wrestlemania could be a good way to jumpstart things for NXT, but the WWE shouldn't wait until the post-Mania superstar shakeup to help the brand. Do you guys think this is just a bump in the road for NXT, or is it something to be concerned about? One thing that could certainly boost up ratings would be a new signing of a top star, as Triple H met with a former Impact wrestler. Despite a huge roster, the WWE is always looking to add more stars. One possible star is Killer Kross, an Impact wrestler who is now on the free market. According to the Wrestling Observer, while not signed yet, the betting line is that Kevin Kaiser 34 Killer Cross ends up here. There was thought to be interest in him across the board in wrestling due to his look. Multiple sources said Kaiser and Paul Levesque were to have met this week. Next up, The Undertaker has been spotted at the WWE Performance Center. Now, The Undertaker has made it known that he has no intention of retiring from the ring yet, and while his appearances are limited, he knows when to make them count. PW Insider's Mike Johnson had some interesting news regarding the Phenom, reporting The Undertaker is at the WWE Performance Center today in Orlando, Florida. Obviously, with the Royal Rumble next week, that timing is very interesting. Johnson later updated the story, noting, "Thus far today, Undertaker not been inside the ring. He's been reviewing last night's WWE NXT television episode with the roster, giving advice and feedback to the roster. Not only is the Royal Rumble coming soon, but so is the WWE's next show in Saudi Arabia. The Undertaker might not be performing at either show, but his appearance at the center is always a reason to get the fans' attention." Speaking of the next Saudi Arabia show, has the match been leaked? Yes, this graphic of The Fiend vs Kane has been doing its rounds, and it's noted that the event will be called Super Showdown. Now, this might be a good fake, as some have noted that WWE don't use this graphic of The Fiend with the blue Universal title, but it could be an interesting match, and it could be a reason why Kane is returning this week. What do you guys think of the match? Next up, WWE Creative's strange suggestion for Sheamus. Sheamus is back and he looks better than ever, but any return after an absence always brings it with the possibility of a wrestler being repackaged. In the Celtic Warriors case, WWE Creative had an odd idea in mind. During an exclusive interview with TalkSport's Alex McCarthy, Sheamus revealed, "I got these notebooks of ideas from Creative with like a small mustache and suspenders and my hair going over to the side. It looked almost exactly like Jack Gallagher from 205 Live, and I said, you know we have a person who looks just like this here, right? Man, if I did any of those pictures, I'd just be done. I would have been toast. The amount of slaggings I would have gotten, and that would have just been off my granny. It was just terrible." Could you imagine how Sheamus would have looked had he gone with that idea? Just more evidence of why the WWE's so-called creative department needs to go. As for fans wondering whether Sheamus is healthy enough to wrestle, he had made it clear that he spent significant time training and rehabilitating himself. He notes he's made some changes to his exercise routine and diet, saying, "I don't throw heavy weights around anymore. I think that's another ego thing and I feel better. I feel better than they did 10 years ago. I feel better than I did when I started the WWE. Also, no gluten, no dairy. I feel so much better without dairy." Are you glad to see Sheamus back, and do you think he has anything left to contribute to the WWE? Would you like to see him champion once again? Next up, Taz signs with AEW. Former ECW star Taz made the switch out of the ring and into the announce booth, working well as a color commentator for the WWE, TNA, and now All Elite Wrestling. Yesterday, AEW Dynamite was extended to 2023 by TNT, and today we're happy to announce that Taz has signed a multiple-year agreement with AEW. With AEW releasing more primetime programming, it only makes sense to bring in an experienced color commentator such as Taz. Right now, it appears that AEW Dark will jump from YouTube to primetime, and Taz, who guest announced on previous episodes of AEW Dark, would be a good fit. Still, it could be a bad idea putting this on primetime, as it doesn't seem to get a number of views on YouTube. Next up, changes are coming for the 24/7 Championship. New 24/7 champion Mojo Rawley posted a video on Twitter showing him cleaning the championship. Rawley cut a promo talking about cleaning the cowardice of the belt and pointing out he wasn't going to be like previous champions, winning the belt and running off to hide. Promising a facelift for the title, Rawley told fans to tune into the 20th January edition of Raw. There's no denying the 24/7 championship has been a fun element to the WWE, but it has become a bit stale over the last few weeks. While it's impossible to predict how a new direction will fare in the WWE, this could be good not only for the 24/7 belt, but for Mojo Rawley, yet another Raw superstar who is lost in the background every Monday night. And our final story, how to get banned from Twitch. It's safe to say that Impact Wrestling didn't think things through when they streamed RVD's Triple Threat celebration on Twitch during Tuesday night. Yes, Mr. Monday Night has recently turned into Mr. Monday Night Watershed as he celebrated with his girlfriend Katie Forbes' girlfriend. Yeah, they weren't trying to hide anything either. Both women were tucked up together with RVD in the bedroom, half naked, with some whipped cream out and lipstick all over him. The segment was obviously far too much for Twitch, and as a result, they've banned Impact Wrestling. It's unsure whether they'll get the channel unbanned, as it could be a case of Impact appealing the decision. But Twitch gave a reason to the ban and mentioned to Post Wrestling, "We don't comment on individual bans, but I note that sexual content is not allowed on Twitch." Impact responded to the ban and mentioned, "There will be no addition of Behind the Lights this week for fairly obvious reasons. Do you think the ban was justified? After all, it's not like Impact threw a cat around the arena. Still, it's funny how many want the Attitude Era back, but they can't take segments like this." But there you have it guys, the latest and wildest wrestling news. Be sure to comment down below on these stories, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.